We're very excited to present the first ever John F. Kennedy Award, and we're excited to establish this award on what is the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Kennedy, our fraternity brother, and how appropriate that you just got back from Arlington Cemetery and the chance to see his gravesite. So John F. Kennedy became Brother Kennedy on October 3rd, 1958, prior to his being reelected to a second term in the Senate. At age 44, Brother Kennedy was elected the 35th president and was the youngest president ever elected. His impromptu campaign speech at the University of Michigan in 1960 led to the establishment of the Peace Corps, and his inaugural speech in 1961 inspired the nation to serve passionately. The speech at Rice University in 1962 convinced Congress to invest in innovation, and we know some of the results of those initiatives, including our landing on the moon eventually. And his national address on civil rights in 1963 demonstrated his courage and commitment for inclusion and the protection of the rights for all who wish to be free. So it's clear that his words inspired a nation and his actions supported his commitment to improving the world. So it's very appropriate that the John F. Kennedy Award, recognizing an outstanding brother who continues to thrive in his career, inspire others to live lives of service so that they may improve the world around them. So Brother Sean Stevenson is a brother who has done all this and more against all odds. And Brother Stevenson continues to impact others through his motivational speaking, therapy, and his books. He's another example of a brother who has found his passion and purpose. And before we welcome Brother Stevenson, let's watch an introductory video about him.
Dr. Sean Stevenson was predicted to not survive at birth because of a rare bone disorder that stunted his growth and caused his bones to be extremely fragile. Despite the odds, Sean persevered, and his drive took him all the way to the White House, where he worked as a young man. He went on to college and eventually earned his doctorate. The Biography Channel produced an hour-long feature on his life called The 3-Foot Giant. His journey has inspired millions of people around the world. Count among his fans Sir Richard Branson, President Bill Clinton, and His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Sean has appeared on everything from Oprah to Jimmy Kimmel, in addition to online videos with tens of millions of views. Over the past 22 years, Sean's powerful message has been heard at live events in nearly all 50 states and in 15 countries around the world. His latest book, Get Off Your Butt, has been translated into 10 different languages. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Sean Stevenson.
It's our honor to recognize Brother Stevenson as the first ever 2017 recipient of the John F. Kennedy Award.
Thank you. This is the biggest water glass I've ever held. Thank you. Yes, please. Actually, you'll put it over here on this side so I can touch it if I want. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Ladies, thank you for being here. And I want to go completely off script with you. I have done a lot of my material in front of Phi Kappa Theta, a lot of my stories that have made me famous, infamous, however you want to see it, and helped to build a career for me. I'd rather put all that on hold and just speak 100% from my heart and just trust what comes out. How many of you, by a raise of hands, would be okay with that? Awesome. Phi Kappa Theta, I believe, set me on a trajectory that, yes, it impacted my career, but I believe it taught me that I was not disabled. I believe that Phi Kappa Theta helped me to feel normal in this world. Something that I was craving since birth. And what I love about Phi Kappa Theta is I'm probably not the only one in this room that has felt that way. Maybe it's your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, or some area of your life where you felt like you didn't fit in, and Phi Kappa Theta included you. Raise your hand if you felt included by Phi Kappa Theta for something in your life or someone you know in their lives that just brought them all in, just by raising a hand. Who felt that? Yeah. I remember the first day that I showed up on campus. What turned out to be later my big brother in the fraternity, he was sitting at the table with all the booths in the Schmidt Academic Center, and he then went outside for a smoke, and I'm like, what a loser, and then he came back in, and he was like, hey, so, like, what are you doing tonight? So, like, you want to come by my house? And I didn't know he was with a fraternity, so I was like, why the hell would I come by your house? You're not my type. I don't like smokers. Like, so then he explained that he was in a fraternity, and my father was in a fraternity, a different one, and I never thought I would go down that route. I didn't think you would accept me. I didn't think you would want a 3-foot-tall young man in a wheelchair to be your representative. I thought you wanted a tall, strapping man that looked all American and clean cut and perfect. And to feel that you would want me was so healing to me. And I remember that when I went over to the house, and he was there at the door smoking again, and he invited me in, and the president of the fraternity, who also had a huge impact on my life, Adam Weiss. And Adam came over and sat down, and he had these, it's just one of those moments where I remember so many of the details because it had this huge impact on me. He was playing with these, like, what he called prayer beads that his girlfriend gave him. And he's like, Sean, we see something in you. And I was like, that's awesome. He's like, we see that you have great handicap parking privileges. And that started the next decade or so of harassment in my life. But now it's been 2 decades. And I look back on this experience of Phi Kappa Theta, and I was telling Dave Goldgreen here how pivotal he was in my college years, how instrumental he was, because Phi Kappa Theta, for me, it wasn't just a group of guys that I paid as my friends and all the stupid things that we hear when we're in the fraternity. For me, there was an extra layer, and that was, I lived at home at the time. I lived at home until I was 31 years old. And so when I joined this fraternity, I made friends with people like Dave and Adam and Corey, my big brother. And these individuals, they learned how to lift me out of my wheelchair. They were the first people outside of my parents to pick me up out of my wheelchair. The amount of trust in my life I gave them, I should have thought twice probably a couple times. Ted Clayton, that joke was for you. You broke my leg, you asshole. Anyway. I'm definitely over that. So, but I trusted my life, and I'm so grateful that I did, because even though I didn't get to live on campus and feel the normal college lifestyle, I had kind of like a rent-to-own experience of it, like a timeshare in college, being able to go on the weekends and spend like Friday nights at the campus and hanging out with these brothers. And I don't know about you, but when we would do the chant at the end of the meeting, I wasn't chanting anything about Phi Kappa Theta. It was everything about being free. was everything about being normal. It was about everything about, like, that for just a few moments, as I screamed out the letters, as I pushed every bit of the air out of my lungs, it was to feel like a man. And that was priceless. Phi Kappa Theta started me on this trajectory that led to a career where I get to travel the world. I make more, and I tell you this with impressionable empowerment in your heart. I make more in an hour doing what I do than most people make in a whole year of their salary. And I own that with courage and pride, because that was something I built through the experience of seeking out my own freedom. And you need to figure out what is it in you that you need to seek out that sounds so big, it makes you so uncomfortable that it makes you want to shake, that makes you want to tremble because you think, there's no way I can do that. I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, that the best things in your life are on the other side of what scares the garbage out of you. The best things in your life, if you had to make a thought and a list in your mind, like what would really scare me? Would it scare me to tell people this element of my life? Would it scare me to leave my current job and go do this other thing? Would it scare me to change my major? Would it scare me to go ask that girl out? Would it scare me to go ask that guy out? Like whatever it may be. Like whatever it is that scares the garbage out of you, that thing is the very thing that I promise you you need to do. Because that very thing will be for your soul's evolution. It will not be something dangerous that will kill you. I promise you, your soul is aligned with that thing that is so scary that when you achieve it and you're on the other side, you'll be like, why did I act like it was going to kill me? Why did I get so scared to just be myself? You know, Phi Kappa Theta, what I loved is when I would sit around the tables during chapter meetings, there were black men, there were men of different Asian races, there were gay men, there were guys that were big jocks, there were guys that were computer geek nerds, and like we all got together and we looked at each other and we said, brother, and we hugged each other, and we didn't give a shit what other people thought. We just cared about each other. There might be some swears here today, okay? I'm just gonna have to take that risk with you. So, I loved that. I loved because you know what? What is the stereotype that the outside world has of us? You know what? That we're racist, that we hate people till they die, that we're stupid, that we pay for our friendship. They don't have a clue what we are like. And you know what? Stop fighting their discrimination of us. Stop trying to be angry because they put you in a box. No. Get excited that they put you in a box. Get excited because that box has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It has everything to do with what scares them. So you need to rise up. You need to be so amazing, so glorious, so powerful, so successful that that box can't hold you anymore. That the sides just pop down, boom, 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 and you stand up and you're like, wow, I guess there really wasn't a box now, was there? That's what you need to do with your life. You need to think, what are the biggest goals that you have? And then you have to ask yourself the question, what garbage do you got to take out to go after those goals? Because I want to teach you a three-part system today that I use in my own life. A three-part system that is going to put me on the trajectory to do massive things. Things so big they scare me. And I want you to implement these 3 steps in your own life. And you will probably never learn them in school. You may never learn them from your friends. You may never learn them from your family. You might hear pieces and bits here and there at conferences, but I want to put them in a sequential order so you can see it's a process. Whatever it is you want. I'm just curious, if I raise a hand, who would like to be really financially set? Well off beyond your wildest imagination. Okay, now put your hands down. Now let's see the lying son of a, it's like, oh, I don't care about money. You should. I'm saying with strength that if one of your goals is not to make good money, then what you're doing is you're buying into a societal box that to be pious and humble, that you can't make good money. Drop that box. It sucks. That box doesn't pay your rent, the box that you live in. The things that society are going to try to put on you to keep you small, they do not have to keep you small. This three-part system, I want you to have it and use it, because there's nothing more frustrating as a speaker, as a leader on this planet, where you go into a conference and you tell people things, and they take the notes, and oh wow, and then they scurry out the back door, and they go right back to what they're comfortable with. They go right back to what their dad and mom did, right back to what their neighborhood was like, right back to what their spouse told them to be like, right back to what made everybody else comfortable. Look, you're not playing a big enough life if everybody around you likes you. Period. You're not playing a big enough life if your family's always happy with you. No, you need to stir things up. You need to be willing to play such a big game that people that love you are nervous for you. They're like, ooh, they could get really burned. They could look bad. That's when you should feel the most alive. When you are doing things that feel like your heart is on fire, that there's a flame burning out of your chest, that you know it doesn't matter what people think of you. You are on a trajectory for your own greatness. If you are so radically out of your comfort zone, you can't even see the shore anymore, and you don't have anything comfortable left, that means you are playing such a big game that the world is watching you now. The world will be taking notes from you. The world will be making movies out of your life. The world will be asking you to borrow money. The world will be coming to you because they will go, whoa, that's what it looks like to not have a single comfort zone left. And gentlemen, that's where I'm headed. Gentlemen, I believe that's where I am, but there's just a few little things left I gotta do that scare me, and then I'm gonna see what it's like beyond that, and I will find that old proverb, or wherever I heard it from. I probably heard it from my amazing wife, Mindy. Beyond mountains, there are mountains. So even if I work through my fears, I'm sure I'll find new ones. I like fear. I like it. I can smell it in a room. Oh, hey, that's what you're afraid of. Okay. Oh, hey, that's what you're afraid. That's what you're afraid. That's what I'm afraid of. Because being a human being, our brains are not wired to make us feel good. I got 23 years of being in school to become a doctor. That's where you guys go, ooh, you guys gotta say, ooh. Because, listen, if I don't ask for it, nobody gives it to me, all right? 23 years being in school to become a doctor. So good. So, the brain is not designed to make you feel good. The brain is designed to solve problems and keep you alive. That's it. That's it. So what is designed to make you feel good? The heart. The heart. This thing beating in your chest that some days races when you feel trapped. And it's the thing that skips when you feel in love. And it's the last thing you feel when you leave. Your heart is what you were designed to listen to. Because the head has no answers, and the heart has no questions. You need to be so courageous. You need the term courage. It comes from Latin, cor, which means heart. If you want more success in your life, you've got to trust this beating powerhouse that lives inside of you. that will do everything in its power to get you to wake up. But your heart will always scare you. It will always scare you because it will never make sense. Your heart will never make sense because, you know why? It doesn't show up with the facts like fear does that lives in your head. You want to be afraid? Live in your head. Fact, this is your income. Fact, this is your size. Fact, this is what your body looks like. Fact, this is how you were raised. Fact, this is what happened to you when you were 9. Fact, this is your parents. Fact, 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 fact. Your mind will produce all of these facts, pile them up all the way to the outside of the stratosphere to be like, see, you can't do this, you can't have this. It'll just do that all day. Why? Because it wants you to go down into your heart and get the answers. You know you have intuition. You know you've had those voices in your life that just whisper to you, hey, don't go left, go right. And then you do that and you avoid a crash. Or, hey, you know what, that's not somebody I would go into business with. And then you don't. And it's a good thing because you find out why. Or you don't listen to it and you do, and then you find out why. I believe from the research that I've done that God speaks through your heart. And you look into almost every tradition, it will say the reason why we bow our heads is so that the mind realizes it's not in control. The heart is. It is bowing to the center of the courage. And I want to teach you this 3-step process that will help you be more courageous. Because courage is what's going to make you rich. Courage is what's going to make you have peace. Courage is what's going to help you find love or develop the loving relationships that you have. Courage is going to help you in raising your children. Courage is going to help you strap into the rocket ship of your future and take off and help the planet. Because you're not just here for you. I'm sorry to break your ego's bubble, but you are here for the planet. You are on loan from God. You are on loan, and you better be living out that purpose, because when you do, you will get strapped into a rocket ship. I call being strapped into that rocket ship the most exciting experience of life. And most people are so scared of the sound of the engines. Oh, that sounds scary. I wouldn't do that. That's probably not the best thing you should be doing. Or, oh, that last person tried it and they failed. And, oh, sweetie, I wouldn't do that. And they tell you when they hear the rumbling of the engines, step back. You're going to get burned. It's not going to end well. They don't realize that a rocket's taking off. And that rocket is your destiny. You have to see that the greatest fuel on the planet is listening to your intuition. And your intuition will never scream at you like I am right now. It will always whisper. Your intuition will always knock at the door and say, you'll be okay. Keep going. I know it makes no sense. Keep going. I know you think everybody's going to leave you. Keep going. I know that you are risking your reputation. Keep going. I know that you could look bad to everybody. Keep going. I know that you could be throwing away everything you thought you were working for, but really, it was not what you wanted. Keep going. It just whispers to us. And some of us are so in our head, and we're listening to the factual, I wouldn't do this because of this, and that voice in your head, it just produces such garbage, doesn't it? That voice in your head that makes you stressed, it makes you tired, it helps you always feel like you're being the logical person, but you're the miserable person when you listen to that voice. Do you know what voice is so fun to listen to? The whisper. Every time I've listened to the whisper, everything that I want happens and more. I'm committed to the whisper. I am committed to that voice inside my heart. And I have this 3-part process that I want to leave with you today. How many people, by a raise of hands, love feeling unstoppable? Raise it up high. Unstoppable. You can put your hand down. Unstoppable is not an accident. Feeling unstoppable and being unstoppable is not an accident. It's a process. And I'm going to teach it to you. Pull out your phones and type it in. Don't try to act like you can remember this. Because later you'll be like, what was number 3? And you'll be on the airplane ride home. Oh man, that was probably the most important part. Shit, I should have taken notes like he asked. Just trust somebody on the other side of the door. It's a 3-part process, gentlemen. If you want to be unstoppable, number 1, you need to take impeccable care of yourself. You could just call it self-care. If you're not exercising and eating right, if you're not meditating or praying or both, if you're not going outside and connecting with nature, if you're not helping people that could really use your help, if you're not scheduling time for a massage, if you're not reading really good books, if you're not surrounding yourself with incredible mentors, if you're not doing this and a host of other self-care rituals, gentlemen, you will not be able to be unstoppable. You will be stopped. This experience, this 3-part process, it takes all 3. It's a solid triangle. You remove one of these, you will fall. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Self-care is the cure to insecurity. Self-care is the cure to insecurity. Anytime you're feeling insecure, immediately take good care of yourself. Go take a nap. Go eat some food. Go for a walk. Go read a good book. Go hit the gym. Immediately start taking great care of yourself, and you will find that the insecurities that are up in the head, flapping on and on and on, telling you that you're not smart, attractive, important, valuable, they will be gone the moment you take great care of yourself. Because I believe insecurities are not really evil things. I thought that in the early days of my career. No, insecurities are like the dogs when you see at the puppy store and the big puppies are chewing on the little puppy's ears. A lot of people will be like, oh, stop it, and they'll separate the puppies. Well, it's because they don't understand the bigger puppy's chewing the little puppy's ear, so the little puppy fights back and grows up strong and doesn't get pushed around. Nature knows how to do this. Let's take a page out of God's book here. When life is chewing at your ears, don't be like, why do they always do this? Shut up and do something about it. Fight back by taking great care of yourself. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Number 2, to be completely unstoppable, you need to be connected to the reason why you were born. So another way of saying that is, get on your life purpose. I think I've shared this before, but my mentors have asked me over and over, why were you born, Sean? And I've had to come back to rid this world of insecurity. That's why I'm born. It's so clear to me when I'm going in and speaking to Phi Kappa Theta or corporations or heads of government. It doesn't matter who I'm speaking to. If there are humans in the room, it's valuable to get through our insecurities. The big puppies that are chewing on our ears, wanting us to fight back. And when you're on your life purpose, you cannot be stopped. I want to just try something. I've never done this before. I'm curious to see how it works. I just want you to yell out somebody's name that's famous, that we know this person because they followed their life purpose. Yell it out. Sean Stevenson and Gandhi. I'll take it. Oh.
Mother Teresa.
Martin Luther King. John F. Kennedy. I mean, the list could go on and on. Rosa Parks. You know, there's just all these different people that they were on their life purpose. And their life purpose was to say, this is in my heart, and I'm willing to die for it. Because I don't think you're ever really alive until you found what you'd be willing to die for. I am not spiting the universe by this next statement, so clearly understand that. But I would die to help the whole human race no longer be insecure. I'd go right this moment, peacefully. That's how much I believe in what I'm doing here. Only God striking me down will stop me from what I need to do. You need to find that for you. And it's scary, and I get that I'm asking you to do something radically out of your comfort zone. And I don't care what age you are in this room. Do you think, oh, well, he's talking to the undergrads? No, I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to every man, woman in this room. You have to figure out why were you born and defend that to your last breath. It will give you a rocket fuel like you can't imagine. Gentlemen, I got up this morning at between 3:30 and 3:45. I've had no caffeine. Why do I have all this energy? Because I'm connected to God's caffeine. I'm connected to my life purpose. Because I don't have time to sit around and complain about, oh man, the traffic sucked, or it was kind of hot there at the cemetery, or I don't understand why it's so cold in this room. I did bitch about that. I don't have time for people that complain in my head. I don't have time for the people that complain inside of my head. Whenever that itty-bitty shitty committee shows up and is like, oh, I don't like this about my life, and I don't like this about... I'm just like, yo, you are not invited to this party. Go home. And that brings me to my third and most important. Gentlemen, if you do not get this one, the other two will fail you. I promise you. You must surround yourself with empowering people. If you have just one limiting negative person in your life that you allow in your ear, you will not achieve your destiny. You won't. You'll come close. You'll get honorable mention. You'll get a little award for trying. And that's why millennials are screwed up. You got awards for trying. No, y'all need to win. Y'all need to put everything on the table and risk losing. You got to risk the rejection of the burn of thinking, damn, I didn't put everything out there. I like that feeling of knowing that I could lose. It keeps me sharp. And therefore, I must surround myself with an empowering environment. And you might be like, well, my family's negative. Then you better cut them out. And cutting them out may be taking a time out. It might mean moving away. It might be limiting the time with them. But I am one of those speakers that just does not mince words. And I'm telling you, if you have one person in your ear complaining, telling you negative things, you will not achieve your destiny. But if you are courageous enough to put a castle wall around your confidence, put a castle wall around your happiness, a castle wall around your pleasure and enjoyment and health and sanity and success and wealth and enjoyment, if you aren't willing to put a castle wall around that, it's only a matter of time and Troy will fall. You know, gentlemen, I take very seriously who I am as a man. I've done things that I didn't think I could do. I just got back from Kenya, Africa with Mindy. Mindy is my wife, and she is the reason that I have listened to my heart. My wife is the one person that has looked me in the eye and said, you do your destiny even if it means leaving me behind. And that's why I love her so much. For a moment, we could just acknowledge my wife. She's here. Mindy, if you would stand up. Yeah, get up, guys, get up. This is important. And I will risk the conversation in the car ride home for that. Because I wouldn't be the man I am without her. And as you pick your significant other, you better choose somebody that believes so strongly in your destiny, they will not stop. They will constantly throw you out of your own pity party and hold you to your greatness. Gentlemen, I hope you got some value from today. I love you. I'm honored to receive this award. Thank you very much. I'm going to drink out of my award. And you can't stop me because it's my award. And I think this is going to make an epic moment, okay? Let's get some photos. Shit, it's heavy.
I'm back.
Good thing I didn't get like the Pope John Paul, where that would have been awkward. Right?
We're not shrinking violets. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time for a ton of Q&A. I just wanted to ask you as 5 of the most humiliating questions I can think of.
Go for it.
I'm just kidding. Actually, I do think something might be funny. You've spoken a ton of places. I've seen you. I first met you 15 years ago, probably, and I've seen you speak a lot of different places. It's always awesome. But I think it'd be kind of fun to share with your brothers maybe some mess ups where things didn't go right.
You should bring my wife up here. She would.
Well, not that you're a mess up. I just meant a
Yeah. So I got a few queued up for you. One time I was speaking in Tennessee to a university. I got my start speaking to schools. And when I was speaking to a university in Tennessee, it was in a gymnasium, and half of the, one whole wall practically, was giant door that rolled back, almost like an airplane hangar. And this door was open, and I'm up on stage, and it was about this size, and a lightning bolt came in and hit the stage about 6 feet away from me. And thank God I had rubber tires, and I wasn't done yet, right? But the whole audience just froze, and I was like, I have spoken! So there was that time. I've been on stage, and I was out on this little rickety platform in Virginia, and there was an earthquake, and I had to roll off that platform quickly because the platform started to let go. That was scary. I've had dogs that were like service animals in training that needed a lot more training that got loose in the crowd of 15,000 people, and they were chasing after, and these dogs were like, ow, 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 and they were running after these dogs, and I was like, do I stop? Do I not stop? I spoke at a university. It was in a strip mall in Kentucky. That one I should have seen coming was going to be a disaster. And halfway through the speech, the whole audience, like the ritual committee today, they got up and they just walked out. And then another audience came in and sat down. And I was like, what do I do? Like, do I start over? Do I just keep going? But my favorite one I give to West Virginia. West Virginia, a carnival asked me to speak. You know, like elephant ears and dunk tanks, and so imagine a West Virginia carnival, okay? And I get there. Well, first of all, they said, we want you to speak. It was a high school carnival, and they said, what's your fee? And I doubled my fee in that moment because I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I want to like be respectful. And I doubled my fee over the phone, and they're like, great, where do we send the check? And I'm like, and they're like, oh, a bank underwrote this speech. So the bank was going to be paying. I get to this speech, and they had, all the kids were out on the rides. It was like one of those like temporary things where they set up those scary like tilt-a-whirls and stuff. So they call the kids in, and the guy literally who was gonna be introducing me, he had just been dunked in the dunk tank. He is drenched like head to toe, standing next to me. These kids are brought in over the summer. They have to hear a Say No to Drugs speaker for 1 hour before they can go back out and play. They sit down, and this guy is soaking wet, and he goes like, so our speaker today is Sean Stevenson. Sean, go ahead and make him cry. And that was my intro. And for 1 hour, I hated my life with a passion because nobody laughed, nobody took notes. It was just like solid pain for 1 hour. And probably like 3 dozen more that are like that.
I bet you do have many of those. So I know you've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of influential people and making a difference in their life. And you probably get asked often who's left the biggest mark on you. I'm more interested in who's the biggest important, let's just use societal's term of important person you've ever met who's just a total asshole.
Cut the cameras.
I'm hoping this gets on some fake news or something.
Yeah. I got a couple. Hold on, let me think.
Steve Weimer. Let's not go there.
Is it David Bowlgreen in the house? No, Dave's not here now. That's hilarious. No, I would say David Hasselhoff was a douchebag. Because I went to the same high school as him, and he was many years older, but he came back because he was inducted into our high school Hall of Fame, and he came back because Current Affair Extra was following him, and he wasn't allowed to give any autographs, but he had a camera following him, and he saw this little guy in a wheelchair off to the side, waiting with everybody, and of course he comes over, and this is when he was in Baywatch, and he kneels down beside me, and he's like, you know, these old lifeguard knees can barely get down, and he's like looking at the camera, not even me, signing an autograph, and I was like, when I get famous, I'm gonna do the opposite of that shit. And that's what I've built my career around, is when people act like they are better than others, or that they are perfect, or that they don't have any problems, that's when we can't feel related to them anymore. And so that's why I've learned a ton from the douchebags that have showed me what not to do in life.
I like it. So I know we're tight on time. This is my last question, but it's something. Last night I went to dinner with a very close friend of mine who was on the opposite side of the political spectrum and I don't think any of us who are breathing haven't noticed the division in America today around the political spectrum. He asked me a question that I don't know the answer to, and so I'm hoping, since you're smarter than me, that you can enlighten all of us.
Okay.
And the crux of it is, you have people, let's just use the last 2 presidents as an example. You have people who just absolutely, utterly despised and stood against everything that President Obama was about, and it drove them crazy. And now you have people, probably even more people, who absolutely despise and can't stand the way Trump's rolling and what he stands for. How do those people how would you, if you were addressing one side or the other, how do they begin to see the other side's perspective in a way that helps them get to a better place and have less of a divided country going forward?
Yeah. So, my wife's going to come up here and answer that question. No, I'm just kidding. It's very simple for me. And that I learned, I was debating Dr. Richard Dawkins. He's one of the modern day Darwin, if you will. He's the biggest believer in evolution and where we've come from. And I was debating him about the purpose of life, and that I believe that that the universe has a purpose, and he was debating that it didn't. But he said something that I did agree with, even though I was disagreeing with his overall thesis. And that was, he said that evolution is not a staircase that goes up. It's a kaleidoscope. That as we turn the kaleidoscope, things fall into place at the same time they're falling out of place. And so as we bring one side in, and then the other side, and then the other side, and the problem I see, it's not really a problem, but the interesting scenario about the human mind is it loves to be in a belonging tribe. I am a left wing, I am a right wing, I am a religious, I am an atheist, like I am straight, I am gay, I'm this, I am that. And it's like at the end of the day, that causes us all the problem. If we ask ourselves better questions, I think we can come up with better answers. And so what I would get people to see is, what is your opposition saying that you agree with? And if they go, nothing, I agree with nothing, then they don't even follow directions. You can find always something when you go looking for it. And I would say to those in the room that disagree with the current administration, which I don't have an opinion on either way. I look at all people. I've worked for Republicans in Congress and Democrats in the White House, even literally in the White House. And I've believed in seeing both sides, that this current administration, as crazy and as theatrical as it is, there are elements that are moving us forward, whether we see it or not. I'll give you one. And we learned about this recently, is everybody hates that Donald Trump gets on Twitter. But I'm here to tell you, based on what I learned, is that it's a nudge forward, and here's why. Even though you may disagree with what he is doing and what he is saying, let me restate it. Even though you might be disagreeing what he's saying, he is the first president that is using a device in his hand and not checking in with a PR firm, and is blasting out his own crazy opinions to the masses. Now, what does that mean? That means the next president, the road has been laid that the president can talk directly to the people without having to have a podium, without having to have a press release, without having to talk to advisors, that he can just shoot off his opinion, whether you like it or not. The next president might be more articulate. The next president might be more in alignment with your opinions. The next president might be more in alignment with your morals and values. But this is a paving. Everything is paving. The same thing with the last administration, pushing for health care. Now it may be trying to be overturned and everything, but it brought us down a road to say, hey, maybe health care is an important topic. And so it's a kaleidoscope. As things are falling into place, things are falling out of place. You can see this in your own life. Have you ever been struggling for money? Finally, you make a bunch of money, and then you're like, oh, shoot, where did my marriage go? Or maybe where'd my family go? Where'd my children go? And now the problem that you were going to solve is not a problem anymore, but you have a new problem. And this is why life is an integrated process. You can't just become obsessed with one area of life and think that will be enough. You have to see your whole life in a chasm from birth to death. And ask yourself, I read this book recently, 10-10-10. When you're making a decision, ask yourself, how are you going to feel in 10 days from now? How about 10 months from now? And lastly, how about 10 years from now? And if the answer to your decision is not answered in the first 10 days, that's okay. First 10 months, that's okay. But if the answer, that what you need to do could be the next 10 years, that's probably what you need to be doing. But most people, they make their decisions from the next 10 seconds, the next 10 minutes. They don't think far enough out. So when we're looking at the political spectrum, we only see right now, and I can't believe this guy, and I can't believe, and I'm all for it. Look, I have worked in the media, and somebody once asked me, like, Sean, would you work with me as a therapist? And I said, no, I won't work with you. And the guy said, why? I said, because your anger makes you a lot of money, and I don't see you giving up that money. See, the reason why I bring that up is if your anger is giving you a benefit, you'll never let it go. But if you don't see that the detriment is far greater than the benefit, then it's going to have some serious consequence. So we have to look at our decisions long term. We have to feel out, lean into the emotions. And if I could, the last quote that I would like to give is from John F. Kennedy. And as I was preparing in my mind, like, who do I want to be as a man up here for you? It came from this quote directly from John F. Kennedy. There are risks and costs to action, but they are far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction. We have to be uncomfortable. That's where the best things in our life take place.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sean.
I love you. Thank you.
Sean Stevenson, our inaugural John F. Kennedy National Achievement. Thank you very much, Sean.